Outlaw Sports is brought to you by Molson Canadian, made from Canada, and Rocky Mountain Barbecue, Alberta barbecue cuisine at its best. With the New York Rangers, Grant, on top of the standings and sailing pretty strong into the playoffs, a lot of people looking at John Tortorella as the coach of the year, but I have to ask you this. What does this do for Glen Sather's legacy? We know him as the architect here of perhaps the greatest team of all time, that Edmonton Oilers team. We saw many a night that smirk behind the bench, beers being thrown at him, near riots in the stands. We know him from one way, but since he left Edmonton, really, to me, a lot of the polish has come off of his star, because he's had the biggest payroll and the biggest market, and yet he's never really put a winning team together until now.
Yeah, I think I have a lot more respect. To answer your question, I have a lot more respect for Glen Sather. I put him back in that category of a great general manager because of what he's doing now with his team, especially in a salary cap era.
Yep.
When he was with the Rangers, they're owned by a huge multinational corporation that really didn't give a crap how much they spent on hockey. MSG was filled up. They were making money on that. The MSG TV network, it had quality programming to show. So Sather was just doing what he had to do, and it didn't matter. But now in the salary cap era, he's building a team. He's not just getting free agents and spending crazy like he did with Yager and players like that. I have a lot of respect for him. I think bringing in a tough, strong coach like John Tortorella was a smart move. They have a great goalie in Lundqvist, too.
You know, you saw all that freewheeling with Holik and Eric Lindros and all those guys. He's still,
Yager too.
Yeah,
that was
Yager,
a crazy one.
and you know they still have that. Gaborik, and they went after Richards, the biggest prize this year, and won it. But if you look at what they've done in the past few years, since the cap has been implemented, they're drafting smarter. They got 8 players that they've drafted and they're bringing up. They have 10 players that are 27 years and younger. So it tells me that they're going to be around for a long time. Plus, he's surrounded himself with great people. Jim Schoenfield is there, a former NHL coach. Mike Sullivan, a former NHL coach, is there. He still has Doug Riseborough on salary as a consultant. Mark Messier, Adam Graves. So all these quality people that have won, he still picks their brains and has them in his stable.
To me, that's the hallmark of a strong leader who's not afraid to have strong people around him. Or if you have a guy who thinks, I know best.
Have we seen that here lately?
Yeah, we've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
But we saw it also many years ago with Wally Buono, in my opinion, too, who was not afraid to have strong people around him.
Sure.
Good, strong coaches that make good decisions. So
you don't see that up in McMahon now. That's another topic. Sorry.
Yeah, it is. So I think Glen Sather's doing a great job and bringing all those people around him. Jay Feast is trying to do the same thing here in Calgary. Surround himself with good assistant GMs, good consultants, good ex-players like Craig Conroy, trying to get that the army of management. Not just one guy like Daryl Sutter calling the shots. It's my way or the highway, you're gone.
We want to give you a chance to win a real cool prize. All you have to do is follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Join now for your chance to win an autographed Doug Gilmour Flame jersey, the real leader of the '89 Flames Cup-winning team, the club's best-looking jersey. Join us on Twitter and Facebook to win. It's that easy.
I do like, too, the Rangers aren't just star players. Lundqvist is good. Yes, Brad Richards is there and Gaborik is there, Mike. But I think they've got guys like Brandon Prust, former Flame. I wish he was playing here. We're talking about an agitator guy who can play the game. He is a good, strong player that can fight, not a heavyweight. So I think the Rangers have a lot of things going right, and Glen Sather is the architect of that team.
And that goaltending, as you said. A great goaltending, great organization, isn't it?
Lundqvist,
and that guy's as good as it gets.
And he's the coolest guy in the NHL. He's a cool guy. And I think he's a great hockey player. And I'm picking the Rangers to go a long ways. I think they'll make a deal, though, before the trade on trade deadline day or just before it to shore up that team. Because how are they going to get to the finals? They got to go through one team, Boston Bruins.
Well, that East is going to be tough this year. I think it is.
So if you're going to go through the Bruins, you got to be tough. You got to be physical.
But they
might
are.
not have.
That's what I like about them.
Do they have enough?
They have
Maybe.
a little bit of everything, Grant. They, you know, I mean, they own the Philadelphia Flyers right now. They have defeated the Flyers every time they've played them, and they've beat the crap out of them too. So anytime you can do that and establish yourself.
Do you have more respect for Glen Sather?
I was just going to bring this up, Grant, because when he first went there, everyone was doubting him because it seemed that he was trying to make Oilers East out of that team, right? His loyalty to all of his former players and all of his former coaches, you know, like Lowe, for example. And so I kind of wondered, you know, maybe that's getting in the way of your better judgment. But maybe all of that and the fact maybe he's mellowed out at the mid-60s and he's on a roll.
I think he's taken on more of a business approach to it in the salary cap era, hiring those guys that you just mentioned, as opposed to just free spending like his parent company allowed him to do.
Yeah.
And so now I think it's more of a business approach, more systematic approach, and Glen Sather's buying in. He probably has less to do than he once did. Maybe Sean Feld and these other guys are doing more.
I think he hands it off a little more, Grant. I think really he just kind of...
Nothing wrong with that.
Watches, and he's there, and he'll ask questions and make these guys accountable, because I truly believe that's his character. Give you a little more freedom, but you are accountable. Your ass is on the line for this decision.
I'm a firm believer that the best leaders...
A leader?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that the best leaders aren't guys that just do it, but make everybody around them better.
Yeah.
And they do it.
Empower your people, and they will stay loyal.